Hey you! So today we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z Kai, the last chapters from Manga Entertainment. If you want to buy this or if you want to pre-order, depending on when this video or when you watch this video, link will be in the description down below. So if you're new to the channel and you're thinking, huh, I like Power Rangers and anime and stuff, well, you've come to the right place because we talk a lot about it. But I'll also be doing a lot more reviews about anime and talking about anime. So if you're new, again, hit that subscribe button and and the notification bell, because that's always a good thing. It does help the channel grow. Let's talk about the general information. I've never seen Dragon Ball Z Kai before, but I'm glad that I chose this one to actually review because it covers a lot of my favorite sagas, from the Great Saiyaman saga to the World Tournament saga, and much later on where we're getting the Fusion saga and then the kind of Kid Buu. But because like with Dragon Ball Z Kai, everything is kind of like lowered down. It's not like the full kind of saga. You're kind of getting rid of some of the filler episodes to kind of make it better, and I really enjoyed this because it felt new, it felt something engaging, and that's what I really like. I also generally like the fact that the color, everything felt new as well. This follows about just after the Cell games. I think it's about maybe 8 years later. If you know, if I'm wrong, then let me know in the comments. So this is when he's beaten Cell. He's now decided to go to Orange Star High School, where he meets loads of different characters, and one major one, which is Videl. At the very beginning, it kind of follows what Gohan does in high school. He tells everybody that he's from a different sector, and everyone's really shocked because it's an X amount of time to actually get there.
How far out do you live anyway?
Well, have you heard of Section 439 East? That's where I'm at.
Huh? How are you coming here all the way from Section 439 East? That place is like 600 miles away!
Be quiet!
Later on, he plays baseball, and it carries on, and I generally thought it was hilarious. We're also introduced to other characters like Trunks and Goten. So Trunks being the son of Vegeta, and Goten being the son of Goku. We all knew this, but just in case if you didn't. First few episodes kind of focus on Gohan going to school, and then later on becoming the Great Saiyaman, where we have loads of different kind of hijinks, as well as Gohan trying to save the city. We're then introduced to the idea of a world tournament, and everyone's really pumped about this, including Goku, who's allowed to come back from the dead for one day. Then we obviously meet Babidi and Dabura, as well as meeting Shin, who is the Supreme Kai, and Kibito, I think his name is, I can't remember. Yeah, it's Kibito. And everybody enters the world tournament. You obviously got characters like Mr. Satan. We have the progression of this. And then we move on to Supreme Kai, Gohan, Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, everyone like that. That's going to go for Babidi to defeat Majin Buu. But Babidi needs all the energy from the fight to put into Majin Buu to wake him up from his kind of cocoon capsule ball thing, I think. And that's pretty much it, the very kind of lowdown. As mentioned before, it feels brand new. It feels amazing to watch something that's been kind of restored, that has been kind of cut down. So I don't have to watch loads of filler episodes or things like that. Now, I'm not going to say the same thing, which I was about to, but some of the other things that you see in this anime is the fact that Videl fights the Great Saiyaman. You have the Great Saiyaman saving like a pterodactyl called Toby, and then you see his parents. You see the kind of hijinks that happens with Gohan wanting to be a superhero, which again reminds me much of a Power Ranger, or you could say Super Sentai, depending on which one. So with this one, you also see the fact is that Gohan trains Videl. He also trains Goten, and just before Videl comes into this to actually be trained, Goten can go Super Saiyan, you know, and so can Trunks. And this is really kind of weird because you know that at this point, like, they can transform, but not at this early age. There's not been a lot of kind of pressure for them to kind of transform, apart from Goten fighting Chi-Chi, and she beats the crap out of him, or tries to, and then he transforms. But you see the fact that Goten can do all this sort of stuff. He can fire Ki Blast, but he can't fly. So this is why I really liked Gohan to actually teach them, and it was very kind of cool to see this happen. You also see the World Tournament saga, everything kind of condensed, and the kind of emotion to when I think it's Spopovich actually like drains Gohan of his energy. So let's talk about the animation. So the animation looked clear and all redone. This is what really made it stand out, especially when like Gohan was Super Saiyan for the first time as a teen. to the point where the fight scenes looked a little bit cleaner as well, and it had a lot more emotion put into it. You also got a very weird intro and outro, which to me felt very much like one of the video game, which I kind of really wasn't happy about. And you kind of think, oh well, okay, cool, let's just watch this. The episodes felt very quick and short. I think that with this, it was to bring new people in. I know that we've discussed this at work, where people have said, oh, you know, I kind of really want to get into Dragon Ball Z, but it's too long. And we said, let's go watch Kai, because it cuts a lot of stuff out. And at times, it was very hard for me to kind of figure out, did they cut that? That's not in it. I don't remember that. So just to kind of watch it over was very, very nice, and felt very kind of new, and kind of, I just really enjoyed it. I didn't see any kind of bad stuff, so I'm kind of hoping that at times when we see new things, they've redone it. They've gone, okay, well, if we quickly touch this up and it will work fine. So I'm gonna have to watch some of the older Kai episodes to go, yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely cool. It did make me laugh as well, and I've forgotten how funny it was. So when we got the World Tournament Saga, where like everyone's hitting the kind of like the punch bag to get the right like number, everyone's like, oh my God, you know, Mr. Satan's the strongest person, so no one can be higher than him. Boom! It was like, oh wait, yes you can. So I kind of like that sort of humor that was in it, especially like say where Trunks hit Mr. Satan. It was just like a one punch, boom, went down. I thought that was kind of fun. So let's talk about the writing. With the writing, it felt very kind of the same. It felt very kind of fresh, because there were some things that I didn't remember, or that they put in. I was like, oh yeah, that's weird. So I generally kind of thought, oh, yeah, that's awesome. One thing that did really annoy me was when Gohan was saying like, oh my God, you can't use your powers, you can't transform, you can't do this, you can't do that, oh my God. And it felt like people would have known about this. They've probably seen it in the Saiyan Saga, in the like Namek Saga. They've probably seen little things like this, and they shouldn't be kind of like, but it just generally felt that when he was kind of pushing back, everyone's like, oh fine, we'll do what you say. And I just didn't kind of like it. It felt like he was trying to divert it a lot. But then again, when he went against, or when he saw Spopovich, he was about to transform and just completely forget all of it. And obviously going straight into Super Saiyan, when he was going against Kibito, that to me was like, that's awesome. You know, you've kind of forgotten what you said, but you're showing people your power. In all, it kind of felt refreshing to kind of watch this. I'm looking forward to the next one. Characters were all the same. It was nice seeing Gohan become an adult, to become a proper teen. That's what I generally really liked, because I didn't really like when he's a kid, he's like, Daddy, Daddy, I can't do this. And I was like, fuck's sake, Gohan. But when he's a teen or proper teen and going into his adult, that's what I generally really liked a lot. The introduction to Goten and Trunks, I really also like this, because it felt like this is a whole new load of characters coming in. We've already seen future Trunks, but seeing present day Trunks was absolutely fine. Goten, when he was introduced as well, and he went Super Saiyan, I generally really liked this, because it felt like, oh cool, we've got more Super Saiyans, but also it felt like you had a proper way of having someone train with Gohan and not be kind of hurt with it. And I think like one of the best scenes, and this I'm so glad that they follow this up in Super, is when Trunks lands a hit on Vegeta, and boom, he's like, oh, I take you to the whole like thing that you want to go to, the amusement park. You know, I generally thought that was really interesting. So I kind of like the introduction to these characters, but then again, much later on, we find out that they get benched anyway. So it was good to introduce them a lot, but then boom, they've just kind of gone. Videl was a very interesting character as well, because she was very cocky, and this is one thing that I kind of miss, because much later on, she loses that cockiness. It's like, you know, she knows that she's like the strongest person. She knows that she can do a lot. You know, she bullies Gohan into training her into fighting, but then later on she just loses it all, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's Toriyama saying like, oh, I don't like this character anymore, so they get benched. But I did like Videl's cockiness. I did like her way of saying like, I know what's right and wrong. Or when she looks at Gohan and says like, oh, you can't fight, I'm stronger than you. I generally really like that in her character. But when she loses it, I'm like, oh well. But I'm hoping much later on we'll see that come back at some point. I just generally hope that they do. What made this interesting for me? I have to say pretty much everything at the very beginning I really, really enjoyed. It felt like you had the comical elements. You had the calm down from the biggest fight that you've seen, to the point where Gohan was brand new in high school. You know, he was just like, hey, guess what? You know, I've got this power I have to keep in check, but, you know, I use it every single day, but oh my god, what do I do? You know, when he's playing baseball and he gets hit in the face, I think, and then when he jumps high and grabs the ball and he's like, okay, so I've got it. So that person throws it. Just people's reactions to it, where he becomes the Great Saiyaman, where he thinks it's really cool, and Trunks is like, nah, that's not cool at all, you know, I'll leave it. But Goten thinks it's really cool. I think also the way that Vegeta notices Gohan's power, he's like, oh, you know, you're less powerful than what you fought with Cell. But Gohan then gets stronger later on. He's like, oh, okay. But then later on, Gohan gets stronger to hit Super Saiyan 2. I think that all this sort of stuff really made this kind of interesting for me, and this is the reason why it's one of my favorite sagas. Everything was fresh, everything was unique, and this was a really nice touch to it. My final thought: if you're collecting this, or if you're jumping straight into it, boom, definitely go for it, because I think that you will really like this. I like Z, I like a lot of stuff, but again, kind of gets a bit irritable with watching Cell or versus Frieza. So having this kind of new take on the story to some degree, where you meet Majin Buu much later on, like the fight scenes where, you know, it's really weird. Like you see everyone using like Kai Blast, but when the Boris spits on Piccolo and Krillin, it's like, oh my god, why would we do that? And then they turn to stone. You're like, that's cool. That's a different type of attack. It's not the nicest attack, but it's weird. You know, I thought this was kind of cool. I like the comedy elements. I like the fact that it wasn't serious all the way through. But you also had like the pure emotion. So when Videl gets beaten badly by Spopovich, wow, you know, you're like, holy crap. And I'm very kind of interested to see how they're going to be doing this with Majin Buu, or like when he's like normal Buu, where he takes everyone out on Earth or turns them all into chocolate. That does kind of creep me out a little bit, so I'm going to be intrigued to see how they do that. But I generally think that this is worth doing it. So if you're picking this up for the first time, or if you're collecting the entire set, this is a must for all of you. Definitely worth it. Also seeing it cut down as well, that made that kind of like, oh, so I could have it in one sitting. I think it's like only a couple of hours, but I could watch it and I could be caught up, and I didn't have to watch lots of different filler. I kind of liked, and I kind of didn't, the kind of intros and outros. You kind of see it and go, all right, cool. And then you kind of get used to it, but it's just very out of place to have this really nice new style, and then you have old school style. The color, the animation seemed a lot more fluid, and this is what I really liked. So I'm going to leave it there. Links are going to be in the description down below. If you want to pick it up, pre-order it now. If it's out, still the link will be there. It'll take you to a place that you can buy it. But I highly recommend it more than anything. So Rangers, your question of the day is, do you like Dragon Ball Z Kai? Would you pick this up? What was your favorite moment as well as favorite saga? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and consider subscribing. Check out the bell to actually be notified that new videos are going to be dropping. And as always, Rangers, check out all the other videos on the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.